Good afternoon. On behalf of Engineers Australia, I'm delighted to welcome you all to our Infrastructure Thought Leaders series, Drawing Management Trouble, Bluebeam Revu Sets to the Rescue. My name is Amanda Rogers and I will be your host for today. Firstly, in keeping with our tradition, Engineers Australia acknowledges the traditional owners of the land and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and community. We pay our respects to their cultures and to elders past, present and emerging. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge that today's webinar is being hosted with Engineers Australia industry partner CAD Group Australia. CAD Group is a customer-centric company with 30 years of history and experience serving the architecture, engineering, construction and manufacturing industries. They specialise in providing software and hardware technology, support, training and consulting, and one of the largest Autodesk Platinum Solution partners in Australia. Trust, friendliness and value are the core of all CAD Group solutions and underpins their customer-centric approach. They believe that their customers' success is as important as their own, and therefore consistently develop innovative solutions to support clients' interests. CAD Group's mission is to provide hands-on industry experience as well as the latest tools, computer infrastructure and knowledge to help their customers achieve success in any project undertaken. I'd like to welcome our speaker for today, Deepak Mani. Deepak is a multiple award-winning international speaker and a top-selling author. Based in Sydney, he is a qualified mechanical engineer and has won multiple top awards at various conferences around the United States, Singapore and Australia. Deepak's books on the technologies used in the building construction industry such as Bluebeam Revu, Autodesk Navisworks and Autodesk Advanced Steel are top sellers in their categories and are used by dozens of universities in the US, the UK, Australia, France, Italy, Germany, and on it goes. Currently, Deepak works as the National Technical Manager at CAD Group Australia, one of the leading technology companies in Australia. Outside his full-time job, he is also a guest lecturer at the University of Technology, Sydney, and the University of New South Wales, two of the leading universities in Australia. He has also been invited to deliver lectures at the University of Salford, UK, and Virginia Tech University in the US. Please welcome Deepak Mani.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks for the fantastic introduction. I reckon you know more about me than I do about myself. We've actually done quite a few events together, so no wonder you know me really well. And I guarantee everybody I don't pay her any money for that kind of introduction. I promise. All right, guys. So first of all, let me thank all of you guys for attending this event live. I was told that we had over 1,000 people registered, which is absolutely fantastic. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Engineers Australia for doing this event with us and for CAD Group Australia for organizing this event. Amanda has already introduced myself, but as she mentioned, I'm a qualified engineer. I've won a few top speaker awards around the world as well. I've also written a few books. So what we are going to do as part of this presentation here is we will be giving away a copy of the Bluebeam Revu book, and I will come to that soon. But yeah, so one of you guys would be picked up as a winner of my Bluebeam Revu 20 digital book at the end of the presentation. Amanda has already introduced CAD Group, but again, just to reiterate that who we are a customer-centric company with over 32 years of history and tradition dedicated to customer success. So customer success is the core of our values, or one of the core values that we have here at CAD Group. We've had customers who have been with us pretty much from day one that we started. What do? We deliver innovative design technology solutions to the industry-focused professionals like you guys. So we are your one-stop shop for every design-related solution, whether it is hardware, software, augmented reality, virtual reality, everything. What we believe in, and this is really, really important for everybody at CAD Group, what we believe in, We believe in delivering design technology solution with the sense of trust, friendliness, and value. And trust is the other core value that we have here at CAD Group. We are not just your solution provider. We are your trusted advisors. And we ensure that everybody here at CAD Group understands that. And we are really blessed to be working with amazing people who also have trust as one of their core individual values. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to give away a digital copy of Bluebeam Revu 20 book. Lovely Amanda is going to pick up a winner at the end of the presentation, and she's going to announce that winner. So hopefully it'll be one of you guys watching it live. If not, then Amanda will get in touch with you guys. All right. So why are we doing this presentation today? Why drawing sets? If you look at any kind of industry, whether it is construction industry, whether it is building industry, whether it is infrastructure industry, or for that matter, any other kind of industry, there are multiple sources of drawings or documents, especially when it comes to construction or building or infrastructure or plant and mining. We've got all these different sources of our drawings, whether it is the structural team, whether it is the architectural team, whether it is mechanical, electrical, plumbing, hydraulics, fire, civil. All these teams provide us drawings. So there are multiple sources of the drawings. But not only just that, in a project, the final deliverable is also a combination of other documents, which could be your bidding and tenders document, which could be your reports, which could be your quality and safety checklists that were run on site, which could be your inspection checklist, which could be your mails and forms. So we have hundreds and hundreds of documents that are delivered to us in various formats, mainly in the PDF format in the final deliverables. But it's not just during the final deliverable. Even during the design phase, we get all these hundreds and hundreds of documents delivered to us. The problem is that they are not just the final documents. As I mentioned in my intro of this event, that construction is a really fluid state. We keep changing things around a lot. So let's say we've got a set of 100 drawings from services team, whether it is mechanical, electrical, plumbing, hydraulics. And then next day we get another set of 20 drawings because the information has changed. So it's not only just the source of drawings that are multiple, it is also the number of drawings that we get. When we get those drawings, it is really, really hard to keep a track of all that. And pretty much everybody in the project is confused as in which one's the latest set of drawings, are we working with the latest set of drawings, and so on. And not to forget the confusion it causes and the frustration that it brings when you're not working with the right set of drawings. In one of my presentations earlier, I mentioned that the construction industry, so I'm just talking about just the construction industry, loses over $60 billion, so over 60 billion US dollars a year because of the rework involved that is caused by the incorrect documentation sent on site. So the frustration it causes is massive, and obviously it can't be anybody's fault because we don't know what happened. It's not our fault. So what do? We need to come up with a solution to that. And what is the solution? The solution is Bluebeam Revu Sets. Now, what is Revu Sets? Revu Sets basically are a collection of multiple PDF files organized, categorized, and displayed in a single view. So multiple PDF files that are organized and displayed in a single view. Now, these PDF files could be located in separate folders. So for example, you've got your project folder in which you've got your folders for your construction drawings. You've got folders for your architectural drawings. You've got folders for your structure, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So all these drawings, PDFs could be sitting in all these different separate folders. And Bluebeam Revu lets you display them in a single view. It's like you can have those documents displayed in a specific sort order that works for you in your project. Now, a lot of people would ask me, why would you want to display them as separate documents or have them as separate documents anyway? Why can't you combine them as single document and then work off that? The reason is because a lot of these drawings or documents will have some kind of PDF security, such as digital signatures. So if you've digitally signed a PDF, you can't then merge it with other documents. So that's where review sets allow you to easily navigate all these entire drawings as if they were a single document. So you've got your navigation on your screen, which is what I'll show you in live presentation. And although all these files are sitting in all these different locations, it would display it as if it's a single document, although we are not merging them because of various reasons, such as various PDF security reasons. And most importantly, once you have created your drawing sets, you can actually generate a drawing log, which could be pretty much the first sheet of your set, which could be hyperlinked to various drawings in your drawing set, especially if it's a large drawing set. Bluebeam Revu Sets also let you display revisions that could be stacked together. So let's say I got the first set of drawings from architects, and then we got some revised drawings from architects. We can then have those revised drawings added to our drawing set, and we can have the revised drawings stacked together. And the really cool thing is that the superseded drawings can actually be automatically marked. So you can't accidentally go onto those superseded sheets and work off them. They can automatically be marked with a symbol or a stamp that says superseded. And it allows comparing of those PDF documents as well. So let's say down the line you've got 5 different versions of those documents. You can then compare different versions and say, all right, what were the changes from version 1 to version 2 and so on. So it really helps you understand the history of your drawing set. You can also upload the entire drawing set on Studio Project. So Studio Project basically is your lightweight cloud-based document management system that comes with Bluebeam Revu. So every version of Revu comes with Studio Projects. It's a lightweight document management system sitting on the cloud. You can have the entire drawing set sitting on Studio Project, which means that you can interact with your extended project team at one single location, which is your single source of truth. How cool is that? Now, talking about Studio Projects and Studio Sessions, we did an event for Engineers Australia about this also a few months back. So just a reminder, with Bluebeam Revu version 20, Studio Sessions and projects are hosted or can be hosted on the Australia-based server. So projects where the data integrity or the data sovereignty is a problem, we can now host all that data on the Australia-based servers. So for your confidential projects, your defense projects, your government projects, we can now have the data hosted locally, which means that it resolves the data sovereignty or the data hosting issues for those kind of projects. Let's now jump straight into live demonstration and have a look at this workflow. This is my Bluebeam Revu window. Before I start with sets, let me show you my construction sets folder. And as you can see in my construction sets folder, I've got all these different subfolders. Architecture subfolder for my architectural drawings. I've got electrical, I've got GA drawings, I've got mechanical, plumbing, structure. You could even have your civil, hydraulics, fire, and so on. So you could have all these drawings sitting in all these different subfolders. And it becomes really hard for us to navigate through these subfolders when we want to view those drawings. This is where Bluebeam Revu Sets really comes handy. To create a new Bluebeam Revu set, I will go to the Sets panel on the left of my screen. On this Sets panel, I'm going to click on Sets on the top, and I want to create a new drawing set. I'll click on New Set. It says, it gives me the information that sets allow you to create a collection of drawings and so on. I say, yep, that's exactly what I want to do. So I'll click OK. Now, it's asking me, how do you want to load drawings in this set? I can load drawings in this set by adding individual files, or I can add individual folders, or I can add a top-level folder and all the subfolders inside it. Which is what I'm going to do in this case. I'm going to go and pick my construction drawing set folder and all the subfolders inside it, which is architecture, structure, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. All the PDFs from that folder would be selected. So I'm going to pick this. It says, do you want to load the files from SharePoint or your local computer? I'm going to go and say from my local machine. It says, where are the files located? I'm going to go into my desktop because that's where I saved it. And I've got my construction sets folder. I'm going to pick this top level folder. I don't have to pick individual subfolders. So as soon as I click on select folder, it now automatically goes and picks all the drawings or all the PDFs in that folder. Now, mind you, they don't need to be drawings. They could be your project documentation. They could be your spec sheets. They could be your site photographs that have been saved as PDFs. So they could be any of those documents. Now, before I click OK, I want to talk about some really cool options here. When I click on options, it will display the set options dialog box, which has got 3 tabs. So currently I'm on the sorting tab, and it says, how do you want to show your drawings or your PDFs in your set? They are going to show, they'll be shown as file name with page labels. That is what I want. You can also sort them with page labels only or file name only and so on. So we've got a number of different sort orders. You can also sort tag sheets, and I'll explain what tags are in a few seconds. Our sort order is alphanumeric ascending, which is what we want. Now, if you have a document which has got multiple pages in it, so for example, the mechanical PDF file has got 10 sheets in that one single PDF file, you can decide to stack multiple pages in a single view, so you can have them stacked together. Or if you do not select this checkbox, it will display those 10 sheets as 10 different items, which is what I want in this case. Our revision is set to auto filter. But the most important thing that I want to I want to talk about this here is this really cool checkbox feature, which says copy markups to newly added revisions. So let's say we created our set. We started working on marking up the PDF files and so on. And then suddenly we have been sent some revised drawings. When we add those revised drawings, this checkbox will ensure that all the markups that were added on the previous version of the file are automatically transferred onto the next version as well, so we can continue working with those markups. How cool is that? Then we also have this really important checkbox here that says stamp previous revision as superseded. What this will do is it will ensure that as soon as I place a revised version of my drawing on an existing drawing, the previous version, which is stacked underneath the latest version, automatically has a stamp on that called superseded, which means there is no way you're going to go into that drawing and start working on it, because it is right on your face saying it's superseded. So it's a really cool thing here. Now, how do you want to categorize your drawings? In your case, you could have all your drawings categorized in a particular category, or you could have separate categories for each type of drawing. So for example, I could have all my general drawings sitting in a category called general, all my civil drawings sitting in a category called civil, landscape, and so on. I could also go and create my own custom category if I want. For example, if you've got some additional types of documents, which could be your project spec sheets and so on. So you could add a new category here. Now, how does the set know which drawing to add to which category? We are saying that the sheet number of that drawing should have a letter called G. So as soon as the sheet number has a letter called G, the program knows that this needs to be placed in a category called general. Similarly, as soon as the drawing sheet number has a letter called S, the system would know that it's a structural drawing, and it'll add it to that. And again, so this is something that you can add to your BIM execution plans, where each of these drawings of each of these disciplines need to have these letters as the sheet number or initials of your sheet number. So that will ensure that you can easily and automatically add these drawings in the right category. Now, you could also move any of these categories up and down. I will show you an example of that once I create the set to show you what it means. The next really cool thing is tags. Now, what the program is going to do is the program is automatically going to extract the sheet number and the sheet name of my drawings. It is automatically going to do that. Similarly, it is automatically going to add a revision number as well. Now, with number, this revision number, I could decide it to not auto mark, which means that I can manually specify revision numbers. So I want to start my drawing set with revision number of called 1. So that way, when I place a revised drawing on it, it is automatically bumped to Rev 2 and so on. I can also add my own additional tags, but again, I will show you this later on. In this case, what I might do is I might add a new tag here. So I want to add a couple of tags. The first tag that I want to add needs to be a default tag, which is, let's say, project number. I want to include project number as a tag to add. I'll go OK. So it adds this project number. Now, what this automark checkbox will do is it will let me decide where on my drawing sheet is the project number available, so I can automatically extract that. The program will run what we call as OCR, optical character recognition, on that area, and it will automatically extract that project number from the sheets. Now, please note that this would only work when all your drawings have the project number sitting at the right location. Because if it's not, all the drawings do not have the same title block or the project number sitting at the same location, then you might have to manually go and select them one by one depending on each category. I also want to add another tag. In this case, I don't want it to be one of default. I want it to be a custom tag, and I want it to be, let's say, a project code. I'll have project code as a text tag because it could be an alphanumeric number. You could also have it as date or number by itself. So I'll leave it as text. I'll go OK. In this case, I'm going to clear the checkbox of automark because project codes are not sitting on drawings anywhere. We specify the project code separately. So these are tags. I'm going to go and say OK. And now I'm happy with this information. I'll go and say OK. As soon as I click OK, it now starts to grab the information from each of these drawings. And it says, OK, now tell me where the project number is sitting on the drawing so I could auto-populate that. I'm going to go and say I want to select the location on the drawing sheet. As soon as I click select, it says, all right, where is it located? And this is where I can zoom in my title block to define where the project number is located. I'm going to drag a box around this project number here. And now I can go and say, OK. As you can see, it automatically runs OCR or optical character recognition on the drawing there, and it reads the information automatically. I'll click OK. So it has now come up with this information saying that these are all your drawings. They start with Rev 0. It has automatically extracted the sheet number and the sheet name, and it's automatically extracted the project number from all of these sheets because the project number was sitting at the same location on all the sheets. But notice that there are no project codes. That's because project code is a manual field. So I can go and select all these drawings now. And at the top here, I can enter the project code. So the project code for this one is EA 03021. I'll go OK. So it has automatically added the information here. As soon as I click OK, it now applies the tags to each of these drawings, and it goes and creates the drawing set for me. I'm going to go and say OK here, and here we go. On the left side of my screen under the sets panel, I can see my categories here. So general category has got 2 drawings. Let me actually close this because I don't want any drawing open for the time being. So the general category has got 2 drawings, structure has got 1, architecture has got all these, and so on. So what it's basically given me now is a easy navigation plane, so I could go to any of these drawings. In one click, I can go and open the structure file. In one click, I can go and open this architectural file. One click, I can go and open plumbing, mechanical, and so on. So basically, it is as if it was one single PDF file. Although in our case, as you know, all these are separate PDF files sitting in their own folders. So it gives me a really easy, simple way to access all my construction drawings or my fabrication drawings or my plant and mining drawings and so on. It could be any kind of drawings. The whole idea is it gives you really easy access to all of those. Now, one thing that I have noticed now is I actually wanted my architectural structure, general, all these drawings to actually show preview here as well, not just the names or labels. So in my set panel, I've got this little toolbar up the top, and clicking on this button here, I can display these drawings as their thumbnails rather than just the labels and the names. How cool is this? And again, if you have got lots and lots of drawings, you could have them displayed as labels and names rather than the thumbnails. It is totally up to you. The next thing that I want to do in my drawing set is I actually want my general category at the top. Then the second category that I want is the architecture category. Then I want structure. Then I want mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Right now, they are not sitting in the right order. So this is where I could have actually done this as part of my set creation process, but I thought I'll do it once I have created the set so I could explain to you what exactly I was doing. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button here that says, what do you want to do? You want to modify the set. It again comes up with the same information. What does set do? I'll go and say, OK. And now if I go under options, I can go and say categories. I'll say my first category is the general category. The second one I want is structure. So I'll click structure here and I'll say move up, up. The next one I want is mechanical. The next one I want is electrical. Then I want plumbing. And actually, if I've got some architecture ones, let me move. I didn't move architecture up. I'll move architecture up as well. And if I had some interior drawings, I'm going to take the interiors category as well. I'll move it next to or just under architecture. In our case, we don't have any interior drawings yet. But if we have any interior drawings that we can add to the set, they would be displayed below architecture. So now my sequence is general. So general at the top. Then architecture is the second category. Then structure, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, civil, landscape, demolition, fire, and telecom. I might actually move fire up as well, just below plumbing. Now with this, if I go and say OK, it says the list of the categories has changed. I'll say, yep, OK. And as soon as I click OK in this dialog box, it now resets my drawing set. And I can see that architecture is the second category. And I've got structure, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. How cool is this? I can also decide to collapse or display any of these categories and the drawings in them. It is totally up to me. Now let me just expand these categories. So what I want to do next is I want to start marking up some of these drawings. So I'm going to go into my first architecture drawing here. And I'm going to now use really smart markup tools that we've got available in Bluebeam Revu to start marking up this PDF file. I'll go into my tools chest. And let's say I want to start with some engineer's review. So I'll start with this Cloud Plus markup. I'll go and create a cloud here and I'll add some text. Please review this area and update based on the discussion. Let me drag this somewhere here. Similarly, I can go and add a few more markups. I'm going to go and add a cloud only here. I'm also going to add a, let's say, just a rectangle. If I could grab one, otherwise I'll just go and add another text box markup here, or sorry, cloud plus markup. Update the standards based on the BEP details, so BIM execution plan details. Similarly, I'll go and add some contractors markups as well. Let's start with some cloud markups. And then I'm also going to add some cloud plus markups. Change this to a kitchen and so on. So I can go, we don't want it to hide everything. So we want you to highlight the area underneath. There we go. So we can now start marking up these drawings. Similarly, let me go and add a few more markups here. Let's go and do this one. Add some details. Refer to the images attached or whatever it is. Let's go and add some background color. So basically what we are doing is we have started marking up our PDF files. I'm going to save this file here. I'll go into my sets panel. I'll go and open the next file I want to mark up. So basically, I can really easily navigate between these files as if they were a single document. Although in our case, they are saved separately in different locations. Let's go and add some more markups here. What I'll do is I'll just use some of the recent markups. I'll just place them here without making too many changes to them. Let's place this one here. Let's place this one here as well. Let's place another one. So this way we can start marking up, as I said, our PDF files. I'll go and say save. This is all good. We are working with our drawings. And now we have been sent a revised set of drawings. So I've got some architectural revised drawings. I've got a mechanical revised drawing or whatever it is. So what we do in that case is we simply go into our sets panel and click on this modify set. Actually, we click on this button here that says add files to set. So it again comes up with this message saying, Sets will do this for you. I'll go and say, okay. Now it says, do you want to add them from SharePoint or my computer? I'll go and say my computer. And now I'll go into the revised files and I'll go select them. I'm going to pick architecture rev 1 for this one, and I'll go and pick the revised mechanical file as well. I'll go open, and it says, all right, so do you want to add tags because it can't find the sheet name for this one? I could go and say select. Now, the reason it cannot find the sheet name for this revised mechanical file is because this is a different title block than the original one. So the point I'm trying to make here is that although it could be a different title block, maybe somebody printed on a different sheet size and so on, but your set will actually realize that, it'll understand that, and will give you the opportunity to go and pick the sheet name and the sheet number again. So I'll go and just select. So this sheet name actually is sitting here, which is different from the rest of the title blocks. I'll go OK, and sheet number is sitting here. I'll go OK, and then it creates this sheet, updates all the information, and then says the other information that is missing is the project number. I'll go and select again, and I can go and pick the project number. Now, let me just mention this one more time. The reason I had to do this again is because this mechanical drawing was printed at a different scale from the original one. So this is a different title block, this different sheet size, and so on. Hence, we have to do this again. So now what it basically is saying is that, yes, it has picked all these drawings, but a really cool thing you would notice is that it has automatically bumped the revision number of the drawing. So because it says there's a drawing that is exact same with the same label, sheet number and sheet name, it has bumped the revision to this one. I can copy this information which was manually entered and paste it here. I'll go OK. And as soon as I click OK, it now comes up with the message telling me that this file, which was the original file, now has a revised version. This file or sheet has a revised version, and mechanical has a revised version as well. So it is giving us the opportunity to say that you had original revision of this sheet. Now this is a revised version. Now, if that was a mistake, you could go and pick any of these and you could go and say remove. But obviously, in our case, we are saying, yes, we know that these are revised files. We'll go OK. And as soon as I click OK, this is where the magic happens. And I get really excited about this. This is where the program knows that because the sheet name and the sheet number was exact the same, it has revised those sheets. Let me save this file and close. And what it does is, let me show this as thumbnails. It then places the revised sheet on top of your original sheet. And how do I know that? Because I can see this arrow here. This arrow is telling me that now there is a previous version of this. And as soon as I click on this arrow, I can see the previous version. If I click on it, you can see that it has added a stamp called superseded. But not only that, it takes all the markups that we added to this PDF file and it displays those markups on the revised version file. So now I've got this Rev1 file and I can see all the markups here as well. Now, in some cases, you might not want to display those display these markups on the revised files. And that's where you could go into your sets, modify set, and clear that checkbox that allows you to bring in all these markups. So if it is your final set of drawings, whether these are your final drawings or these are your as built or whatever it is, if you do not want to bring the markups, all you do is you go into your sets modification, you go under options, and you clear this checkbox here that says copy markups, newly added revisions. So that way your new revised drawings or the latest drawings will be clean set of drawings without any markups on them. Similarly, if I go down, I can see even for this drawing, there is a previous version. So I can click on this and I can say, yep, that's the previous version, which is now superseded. Similarly, if I go into my mechanical drawing, I would see the revised mechanical drawing as well. And again, although it is a new revised drawing, I can see the previous one now has got the superseded information on it. How cool is this? So really easy way to navigate through all my PDFs of my document set or my drawing set, which could be your construction drawing set, which could be your infrastructure drawing set, which could be your plant and mining drawing set, or whatever it is. Although all these drawings are saved in different folders, we can easily navigate through all of them using this method here. Now, the other thing that we can do with these sets is we can say, all right, I want to now check what were the changes or what were the differences between the files. So I can right click on any of these document or sheet that has got a previous version. I could simply right click on it and I can go and say compare documents. When I click compare documents, it says you're comparing this against this. I'll say, yep, that's fine. But before I click OK, I'm going to go into advanced. And I'll say, I want you to create a new copy of the revised page with underscore difference as the name. I want the revision clouds to be created with red color. And I want a red fill inside it as well with 40% opacity. I want you to lock all those revision clouds. And as soon as I go and say OK and then OK now, it now goes and creates the new revised version of the document, and I can see exactly where the changes are. So this is my revised drawing here. This is the original drawing. What I might do is I might actually go and display it in a split view. But in this window here, I can go and say, show me the previous version. The whole idea is when I zoom into this now, it zooms into the previous version and I can see what the changes are exactly made here. How cool is this? Let me hide this properties window so you can easily see. So it places it in the synchronized view and I can exactly see what the changes were, where were the changes made, and so on. Isn't that really cool? So this comparison tool is one of my most favorite tools of Bluebeam Revu, but it saves people so much time to do doing manual comparisons of your drawing. Let me close this drawing. I don't want to save changes, so I'll close this. Don't save changes. All right, so this is how we can work with sets, but in this case, I'm working with sets in my local environment. What I want to do next is I want to make sure that I'm able to reuse this set. So I'm going to save this set. To save the set, I'm going to go into the sets panel and I'll click on sets flyout here and I'll go and say save set. It says unable to sign in because I don't want to save it on my SharePoint. I want to save it somewhere locally. So let's say I want to save my set here. Let's call it as EA presentation. I'll go save. What it's done is it's actually created that publish set for me. It's actually saved the set for me. Now, what I want to do next is I want to actually go and create a published log for a drawing set log for my set. And I'll click on sets here and I'll go and say publish, and I'll go and say create draw or export drawing log. So I click on this, it says, what information do you want in your drawing log? I'll say I want my sheet name and sheet number. That's an absolute must. I want the revision in there as well. I don't want project number and project code, but I want to see whether the drawing is superseded, false, or true. I also want to see what category that file sits in. And I'm going to go and say next. It says, what format do you want to export your drawing log in? We can export it in XLSX format, PDF format, or a CSV format. I personally prefer PDF format. The reason I personally prefer PDF format is I can actually then append this drawing log as my first sheet of the set. And when I'm creating my PDFs, it actually goes and creates hyperlinks of the information in the drawing log down to every single sheet, every single drawing in my set. How cool is that? What it also does is it gives me the opportunity to search for a particular drawing very easily as well. So I'll simply click on my drawing log and I can go and say search for sheet number such and such. It straight away takes me there. I click on it and then it opens that drawing sheet for me as well. I'll show you an example of that in a sec. It automatically names this drawing log based on the set name. And because my set is called EA presentation.bex, it is going to use that information, followed by a text called drawing log. I can change this to whatever I want, but I'll leave it as default. You can decide to exclude superseded sheets. I don't want to, so I'm not going to select this checkbox here. If there's already a PDF, drawing log, you can override it if you want. I want to use the A4 size landscape orientation for my drawing log. And as soon as I go and say done, it now creates a drawing log for me. It adds all those tags that I wanted to display in my drawing log. It says the project number is not available in this drawing log. For this one, I'm going to go and say skip document because I don't want to display project number here anyway. So I'm happy with this. As soon as I go and say OK, now I've got my drawing log created. But most importantly, you'll notice that the drawing log is automatically added and appended to my published set. How cool is this? This is my drawing log. It's giving me my sheet name, my sheet number, revision number. So it's telling me that this sheet here is Rev 1 and the mechanical is Rev 1. This is the previous version of this. It's actually revised and so on. So I can see all that information here. It also gives me the information of the categories that those drawings are in. And as I said, the really cool thing, and I get really excited about this, the really cool thing is it has hyperlinked the drawings in my set to this drawing log. So if I need to go to roof plan, I can simply click on it and it opens the roof plan for me. How cool is that? Similarly, if I go back to my drawing log, I want to go to the electrical plan. I can simply click on this and it takes me to the electrical plan. It opens the electrical plan for me. But as I said, the most important thing is, let's say your drawing set has got hundreds of drawings in it. You want to look for a particular drawing. Let's say you have a drawing number which has got sheet number, I don't know, A7 something, whatever it is. So you could simply go into the search panel here or Control F. It says what you want to look for. I'm doing a text search. As I'm going to look for, let's say, A7. As soon as I press enter, it goes and finds the location, tells me that there's A7 here. How cool is that? And as soon as I click on A7, it opens that drawing sheet for me based on that text search. So this drawing log is a really, really cool concept because I can have one single location for all my drawings in my set, and I can search for any of those drawings right here. Makes it really easy for me to search for those drawings as well. And because these are hyperlinked, I can simply click on it and it takes me there. How cool is this? So now that we have created this published set, I'm going to save this set as well. So that's my drawing log. I'm happy with this. What I want to do is currently this drawing set is sitting on my local drive. And when I saved my drawing set, what the program did was the program actually went and created a file with the extension called BEX. That's my drawing set file extension. So what I could do now is I could now go and share this BEX file with the rest of the members in my team, provided they have access to this folder location. So for example, if the folder location was saved on a network drive, which everybody had access to, I would simply send them this BEX file. In their Bluebeam review, they would go into the review window. They'll go and say open set, and then open that BEX file, and they'll see the set on their screens as well. They don't have to do anything because the set's already created for them. However, if I want to share this set with somebody outside my team, with somebody in the extended team, this is where I can upload the entire folder onto my studio project. So by uploading this folder, they'll open the BEX file and they'll be able to work with this set automatically. Let me show you an example of this. Let me close this log file here. And I'm going to go into my Bluebeam Studio panel here. You will notice that I can actually host. Let me sign out of this first so I can show you this. So I can host my studio sessions on the Australian-based server. As I mentioned earlier, if your projects have got sensitivity, so data integrity and data sovereignty and data residency is a problem, you can't host it on cloud servers located outside the country. This is where Bluebeam Studio starting review can let you host the data locally within the country as well. Now, just a reminder, if you have been using US-based servers in the past and you want to start the AU-based servers, you will have to go and create a new studio ID. So please be mindful of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sign in. Hopefully, I'll remember my password. Keep me signed in. Sign in here. There we go. So it signs me in. Now I can decide what I'm doing. Am I working with sessions or projects? I'm going to go into Studio Project. And now I'll go and I want to create a new project. It says, what's the name of this new project? I'll say the name of this new project is EA Presentation Review. I'll go OK. It now starts a new project. And now I can start uploading the files into this project. I can also upload a folder, or I can simply drag and drop a folder. So for example, in this case, if I go in here, I could take this EA sets. The key is make sure you upload the folder in which you've got your BEX file sitting. So in this case, it's this one here. I'll upload this folder here. By uploading this folder, it actually uploads all the included subfolders and your BEX file and the logs and so on as well. And to invite project members, I could simply go and say invite. I can type in email addresses of my members. I can copy and paste email addresses. I can add them from groups and so on, or I can use my address book. Let's say in my case, I want to copy and paste email addresses. And let's say I have some, say, going here. And I've got a spreadsheet with all my project members. If I could find where the spreadsheet was. Project members, there we go. So I can go in here. I can go and copy the email addresses of all my project members. I'll go Control C, come in here, and I'll go and say Control V, and I'll go and say check and include emails. So it's telling me that you have added 42 members in 4 different domains. There are 20 members of this domain here. Then there are 3 members of this domain. There are 7 members of this domain, and so on. At any point of time, I can go and delete any of these domains or the individual members in this domain. So let's say I don't want this one and I don't want this domain here. I just want the CAD Group email addresses. I'll go and say invite participants. As soon as I do that, all of them would have received an email now saying that you are invited to work with these documents. I can also look at my project settings. And again, I have discussed all these things in one of the previous webinars that we did for Engineers Australia, where I talked about this in detail. But just to go through this quickly, I can control the permission for all attendees or individual attendees if I want. I can give them or deny them various permissions. I can even go up to folder level and give them what kind of permission I want from the top folder level. When I go and say, OK, all of those members will get the invite. And if they haven't added or joined the project yet, they can go and add or join those projects. And because these projects are our lightweight document management system, if anyone needs to work with any of these documents, they need to first check out the documents. If I go, for example, under my construction set, and if I go to electrical file, and if I need to work with this electrical file, I can simply right click on it and I can go and say, check this file out. So the whole idea of this is once I check this file out, I can then simply go and start marking up this file itself. And then when I check this file back in, that is when it actually saves different version of the file, and then it keeps a revision history to tell me what exactly is happening with different versions of these documents. Similarly, if somebody needs to actually modify the BEX file, they can check out the BEX file and they can make changes to it. But if, for example, I double click on this BEX file, I'll go, OK. It's now opening this BEX file. And there we go. I can now close this project window. And now I've got my BEX file opened from Studio Project, and I can start working on these PDF files. If I go into my markups and so on, I can start marking up, and I can do that provided I have checked out these PDF files from the Studio project. So a really, really cool way of working with these documents, although they are sitting in all these different locations, but Sets will give you an easy navigation to all these PDF files as if they were one single document. You have all the revised version of the documents placed or stacked here as well, just in case you want to look at which one was the previous version. But the really cool thing is, as you can see here, it marks these previous versions as superseded, which means that there is no way you are going to actually make changes to, or you're going to add markups to those superseded files. Also, when we are bringing in these revised versions, we selected the option to bring in all the markups from the previous version to the latest version as well. We can continue adding markups. And as I mentioned earlier, if you do not want to bring in the markups, let's say it's your final drawings, or it could be as-built or whatever it is that are not to be marked up, when you are working with your sets, you can modify them, and you can clear this checkbox here that says copy markups to newly added revisions. So we are right on time. That was my presentation about Bluebeam Revu. I hope you found it handy, especially with the drawing logs and the hyperlinks and so on. So what we will do now is we will go into Q&A. So the way we are going to run it is Amanda is going to look at the YouTube chat window, and she's going to read the questions, and I'll hopefully try to answer those questions right away. But I promise, pinky promise, that if I can't answer the question right away, I will get back to you. So Amanda.
Hi everyone. Thank you for that, Deepak. Brilliant presentation as always. So we now have a bit of time, so we've got plenty of time for questions today. Deepak will take those questions. We did actually ask for some questions if you wanted to submit questions on registration, so we'll also be using some of those. If you'd like to send a question through, just once again, just put your first name and where you're watching from would be great. So we have got a great question that's coming from Craig, and Craig is based in New South Wales, and Craig is asking Deepak, can these drawings be used in other industries besides construction? For example, shipbuilding drawings with amendments and upgrades. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig. In New South Wales, I hope you are keeping safe. It's bright and sunny today, but we haven't seen sun in last 9 days, and I know so many evacuations and so on. So, Craig, I hope you're keeping safe. In answer to your question, yes, it could be for any kind of industry. As I mentioned, I talked about construction, mining, infrastructure, and so on. Shipbuilding, absolutely. I actually work with a pretty large shipbuilder in the Netherlands. They use a lot of BIM, but they also have a lot of PDF files that they use. So the whole idea is you could create sets for different categories of your shipbuilding drawings, and the whole concept is gives you easy navigation to any of those drawings. And when you get the revised versions, as I showed you, you can update the files with the revised versions as well. So yes, absolutely, it could be used for any industry. I just had construction drawings, so I use that as the example.
Okay. Thanks, Deepak. And you just mentioned BIM, and we've had a question come in from Hin in WA saying, as well, there is many BIM-related software. Which is the one most BIM's up-to-date BIM software for construction for the sector? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So can I just please start by saying that BIM is not a software. BIM is a process. We use software to work on that process and deliver our project. But coming to the question, I think what you're trying to say is that there are so many different software which works best and so on. Personally, I think it varies depending on your situation. For example, if you want to work with extended teams where the documents are hosted on the cloud, Bluebeam is a fantastic program for that. But if you want to create those PDF files, you need some authoring tools such as Revit. You need some authoring tools such as Advanced Steel for your structural design, or Revit for your structure as well. You need mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So it depends on what category you are in. If you're doing civil drawings, you need Civil 3D or you need 12D and so on. So it is very hard to say which one is the most updated because all the software are updated on regular basis. It totally comes down to what discipline you are in, what situation you are in, what kind of drawings you create, or do not create drawings, you just work with drawings supplied to you like PDF format drawings and so on. Do you want access to this information on your tablet device on site? So without mumbling too much about it, the basic thing that I want to say is that all softwares are updated, all software are good. It depends on your situation and your criteria.
Thank you, Deepak. Great answer. Michael has come. Good afternoon, Michael. Michael's asking, can Bluebeam Revu integrate with a program like ProjectWise, where all our files are saved on a cloud-based server? Thank you.
Yes, so Bluebeam Revu actually integrates with a lot of programs. And as you could see, I was using SharePoint as well. It integrates with SharePoint, ProjectWise, and so on. If you actually, let me show it to you on my screen. So if I open this Google Chrome window, and if I go to Bluebeam support page, so that's the Bluebeam support page. It's a really good source of information. I would strongly recommend anybody using Bluebeam to actually bookmark the support page. And if I say project wise, I'll just press enter. It now comes up with all the articles about project wise, opening file from project wise, saving files, and so on. So there's a lot of information available here. So yes, the answer is it integrates with ProjectWise, and there are a lot of information available. There are a lot of YouTube videos available as well that talk about how to integrate ProjectWise. But if you want more details, we are more than happy for you to contact us, and we can help you with the integration.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We've had another great question from Brian, and Brian is based in Victoria. And Brian's asking, how easy is this to be adopted by a company with a current bad system?
Oh, well, that's a pretty tricky question, Brian. So how easy is this software to adopt? I would say it's really easy. But in most cases, the issue with software adoption is not the software itself. It is the mindset of the people and whether the people in the company are willing to change and they're willing to adopt new technology. What I have noticed is once you show the advantage of a program like Bluebeam Revu, people can really easily be convinced that yes, that's the program they want to use. because one, it is such a user-friendly package. Two, it's got such massive amount of workflow features that you can implement, that using and adopting this software becomes really easy for you. Plus, we at CAD Group, we've got offices in Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, and Perth. I've got a colleague working in Adelaide and a colleague working from Newcastle as well, or just before Newcastle. So we've got people in all these places, and we can help you with the adoption, and we can help you with the integration of this program within within your workflows as well. So the answer, again, coming back to your question, is the program is really easy to adopt, no worries. Bad workflows can be looked at, and can be seen how we can improve those workflows using this software. We are definitely here to help you out with that kind of situation.
Thanks, Deepak. We have a question coming from Ruben. Ruben's asking, what data standards do you recommend should be in place for managing the metadata, the drawing metadata? Apologies.
All right, so again, it totally comes down to your project requirements and your project delivery plans. So when it comes to most of the building and construction projects in the NZ region these days, they are run using what we call as BEP, which is BIM Execution Plan. And the BIM Execution Plan actually gives you a lot of information of what what element metadata and what discipline metadata is required to be delivered. So based on that information, you can use your authoring tool to extract the information. A lot of projects also have Navisworks as their data federation tool, so you can extract a lot of information from there as well. And once the information is extracted from authoring tools or coordination tool like Navisworks, it can then be displayed with the data on the PDF files or any other cloud-based programs. So in answer to your question, it totally depends on your BIM execution plan and your project requirements. The implementation strategy needs to be defined beforehand, because if you try to bring in some of these workflows halfway through the project, then your elements in the BIM data does not have that information, which means that you'll have to then take additional steps to take the external metadata and then bring it into your authoring tools or your coordination tool or your PDF files. So please be mindful of that.
Thank you. Moving on, Miranda in New South Wales has come up with a great question. She's asking you, Deepak, are there templates or sets available for download?
Again, if you go to this Bluebeam support page, there are a lot of things that are available for download. Unfortunately, the templates for sets are not available to download, and that's because, again, it changes depending on the company, depending on what categories you want, and most importantly, depending on what tags you want. So I'm not aware of anywhere where you can download these for free. But again, if you work with us, we can help you create those templates for sets that you could use and implement throughout your company.
Thank you. Mohammed sent in a question asking you, Deepak, is it possible to avoid revising documents automatically for adding comments, as it may not be considered as a new revision? Revision may only be considered when the drawing has been updated and approved. Can revision be customized and called, for example, WIP 1, 2, and then approved, only go to the next rev? Thank you. Thank you, Mohammed, for that question.
Yeah, that's actually a brilliant question. So when we are creating our sets, there are certain things that we can automatically tag, and there are certain things that we can manually enter. So for example, your original drawing set, you don't want to revise, but you still have the updated PDF file. So you still want the updated PDF sheet to sit on top of the previous one, but you don't want to display the revision number and so on. Then yes, absolutely, you can manually control that. Although it might decide to automatically update the revision. However, you can decide to then revert it back to Rev 0 or whatever it is. Or, as I showed you when I was doing the presentation, let me switch over to my program. When I'm looking at my my set here, and if I go under options. So revision filter, by default, it is set to auto. I can also go and turn it off, and I can decide not to have a revision filter. For stacked version, if I have any other information, I can decide not to even stack, or I can decide not to even display those additional files in there. So all the information can be controlled when you are specifying your set options here. But as I also mentioned earlier, what you could do is, if I go under tags, let me just look at these tags here. So you could take these revision numbers and you could decide to change it to Rev A or Rev 0 or whatever it is. In my case, because it is an automatic revision, that's why it won't let me do it. But if it was set to off or whatever it is, you could decide to change it manually as well. The whole idea is that that way it would not automatically bump the revisions.
Thank you. Question coming from Tim. Tim's asking about PDFs, and he's asking if someone else has a PDF open on another computer, will the set still open? And do I get a message that someone else has it open if I try to also open it?
Yes, so the set will definitely open, because set's just a document which has got links to all those PDFs. So the set will definitely open. Now, when you open the other PDF file, because it is currently opened by someone else, you will get a message that it is read only, so you will not be able to do any changes to it.
Thank you.
Because at the end of the day, all it's doing is it's just creating a link to that document. And when you open the document, because it's already opened by someone, based on your Windows security, it is the same thing as if you're opening a file outside the set, and the file is already opened by somebody else.
Thanks, Deepak. We've had a question from Sandan asking about photographs. Can we add a photograph when review used in iPad, for example? Take a or multiple photos on site and embed on top of the respective file.
Absolutely. So yes, when you're using Bluebeam Revu on iPad, so either using your Review app or View app, depending on what it is, you can take photograph, you can attach the photograph to the PDF files. Yep, no worries. When you take photographs, you could also have those photographs manually. So for example, let's say I was emailed a photograph by someone. So if I go into my program here, I could actually use the image tools. If I go under tools, and if I go under markup, because this is open through my set, I'll go and close the set, because this is the set that I opened from my studio session. So let me go and open the set that I saved locally. All right, so this is the set that I saved locally. So let's say I went on site and I have taken a photograph that I need to attach here. When I go into my markup tools, and if I say image, I can now attach the image manually on the PC as well. But if you obviously have this information on your iPad, you could do that. So let's come on to attach an image from here. Let's say this logo. Actually, let's pick something else. Image from file. Let's go here. Let's go in here. Let's go and pick. I like this image here. How the managers work. How cool is this? Anyway, so I can attach this image here, no problem. Now, one thing that I do want to mention is that at this stage, sets is not supported on iPads. So if you've got sets, you can't use them on iPads, on the iPad app. So please be mindful of that. But attaching image is not a problem. It could be outside the sets as well.
Thank you. We've had a question around performance. The question's come in, Deepak. How does Bluebeam perform compared with other PDF editors?
So Bluebeam is not just a PDF editor. Bluebeam is a program that lets you create, markup, compare, edit, and collaborate on PDF. So Bluebeam is not just an editor. It does a lot of other things. When it comes to editing features, Bluebeam Revu has got some really, really good PDF editing features, and it compares a lot better than some of the programs out there, hands down. Not just because I'm wearing a Bluebeam hat right now. As I mentioned at the start of the presentation, we are trusted advisors for our customers, and we always, always, always try to give them the right information based on the current scenario. So it is one of the best programs out there. I even saw a thing somewhere where it said 70% of the general contractors or tier ones in the US already use Bluebeam Revu. So it's really good program, especially for the AECO industry, so architecture, engineering, construction, and operations industry. And obviously in that industry is also shipbuilding and infrastructure and mining and so on.
Thanks, Deepak. You've just mentioned construction, and we've had a great question that's come in from Andrew in Queensland, who's asking, how does it tie into BIM and construction estimate plan and control for 4D, 5D, 6, 7, 8D? Thank you, Andrew. Great question.
Fantastic question. So Bluebeam Revu has some really cool tools that let you perform quantity takeoffs. So when you're doing your quantity takeoffs, you can do all that here, which basically ties into your 5D kind of scenario where you could have the quantities taken off from here and then displayed in the other programs. But because it is a PDF program, it is mainly for your documentation and your drawings and so on. It doesn't really fall into that category where you could say that this is 4D BIM, this is 5D BIM, and so on. It is more for your documentation, whether they're construction or design documentation and so on, which in addition to your BIM data, so although we talk about BIM so much, along with your BIM data, you do still have to provide a lot of documentation for your site executives to look at. So it complements your workflows. The takeoff tools within Bluebeam Revu complement your 5D and workflows with your in combination with your additional BIM tools.
Thank you. And we've talked a lot this afternoon about the opportunities and scope and scale of the software, but we actually have a really interesting question from BJ in Queensland, who's asking Deepak, what are the limitations to the drawing management tool?
I love these kind of questions. So there could be no limitation to a drawing management tool. There could be hundreds of limitations. It comes down to what your definition of drawing management is. Does your definition of drawing management mean that you just need a check in, check out functionality, you need revision control and so on? Or your drawing management also means that you need to have files available in offline mode to the site teams and so on. So there could be a number of different limitations. There could be a number of different workflows that could be implemented. It totally comes down to your situation. And I know a lot of people would be thinking, I keep saying this, it totally comes down to your situation. But as you could imagine, this is a very open-ended question, limitation to a document manager or drawing management program. There are hundreds of drawing management programs there. And the reason there are hundreds of drawing management programs is because a lot of programs do a lot of things well, but then they have problems that they can't make files available on site, or they can't make files available in the offline mode, or they don't control revisions, or even if they control revisions, you can't make previous version current, or things like that. So as much as I would love to answer that question, because it's such an open-ended question, there is no one answer to that. It totally comes down to your situation and your workflows.
Thank you for that. That's a great answer. And as most things do, we've had a question from Deepti in Victoria, which is, Deepak, can you explain Revu equivalent keyboard shortcuts to popular AutoCAD commands?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm actually glad. Let me switch over to my machine. I'm actually glad, Deepthi, you asked that question because believe me, I'm not a big fan of burning my calories in going all the way up to the tools menu and then markup and then clicking buttons here. See how many calories I had to burn, Amanda? As you know, I'm not a big fan of burning my calories, so I use shortcut keys here. Most of the Bluebeam review tools have got shortcut keys available. If you go under the help menu, you have this option here that says keyboard shortcut guide. When you click on this, it actually displays this keyboard shortcut guide that you can print and you can stick it to your workstation, and it shows you all the shortcut keys. A really cool thing is that you can also modify the shortcut keys. If I go into the review menu on the top left, I can go and say keyboard shortcuts. So it shows me all the different keyboard shortcuts here. And for some reason, if I need to modify a keyboard shortcut of any of these tools, I can modify it here, provided that shortcut is not assigned to anything else. For example, for my ellipse tool, I want to create a shortcut called, or actually, let's go to the arc tool. I want to create a shortcut called A. But as soon as I type in A or Shift A, it basically says that it is already assigned to something else. You can see this here. So what you could do is you could change arrow shortcut to something else, and then you can assign that here. So you can modify this. You can also export this this shortcut settings. But as I mentioned earlier, you could go under Help, keyboard shortcut guide, and this is your guide to shortcut keys. So Deepthi is just like me. I don't like burning my calories and going all the way up there and pick commands and so on. I prefer using shortcut keys. And by the way, as we are there, I might just also add one more thing that I mentioned earlier, answering one of the questions, that Bluebeam Revu is one of the most user-friendly packages. And the reason it's such a user-friendly package is because every time Revu wants you to do something, it displays that as a prompt sequence on the bottom left corner. So for example, if I activate the text box tool by typing in P key, on the bottom left corner, it actually is telling me select a region to place text box. So it displays the prompt sequences here. The only thing that you need to remember is that the prompt sequences are displayed on status bar, which is by default not turned on. But if you go under view and if you actually go under tools toolbar, you can turn on the status bar here. F8 is the shortcut key. Once you have turned on the status bar, you can then save this as your profile as well. That way, every time you fire up review, you would have status bar there, which means that you'll be able to see all the prompt sequences.
Thanks, Deepak. And I think with the
Sorry, I just get
lockdown,
so excited about Bluebeam Revu. I mean, it's such a cool program. It's got such amazing features. I just get too excited about it.
well, certainly with my lockdown experience, I think I'm looking forward to burning some calories. Um, we're just getting so many questions through, which is fantastic. And so I'm trying to sort of group a few together. But we've had a few questions around how can I share a single or multiple marked up drawings from the set without sharing the full set with revisions? Thank you.
Okay, so what we could do is if I go into my sets, if I go back to my screen, if I go into my sets menu on the top, I can now go and print this set. I can go and say print only the latest revisions. What this would do is it will print only the latest revisions, not the previous revisions, and then I can send it off to someone. And when I'm printing it, I could just again use a PDF printer, or if I need to print them on a sheet of paper, which obviously I'm not a big fan of, you could do that as well. So this option lets me basically print the latest revisions only, and I can print them as PDFs again. I can also go and say publish, and I can go and say create a PDF package. Creating a PDF package basically lets me create this package. And again, there are a lot of things we can do with this package, but basically it comes with all these hyperlinks as well. But as I said, normally what I use is this option called print latest revisions.
Thank you. And we are trying to get through as many of these questions as possible. And the next one's coming from Daniel. And as I'm not an expert in, hopefully, Deepak, you could decipher this question. And Daniel's asking, will a document look the same as
Really.
those drawings superseded stamp will be done in all pages, etc.?
Sorry, could you repeat that question one more time, please, Amanda?
So Daniel is asking, will a document look the same as those drawings and in inverted commas superseded stamp will be done in all pages, etc.? Is the question.
That that is correct. So all the old versions would come with this stamp called superseded. If I go under Tools Stamp, there actually is a stamp here created called superseded, which is what it's using. You could create your own custom stamp, or you could modify this stamp to decide how you want your superseded stamp to look like. But that's pretty much what it does. So
Thank you.
all the superseded pages will look like this, provided you have selected the option to stamp those superseded drawings. And again, that all is in your review settings. So if I go under options, you can go and decide not to stamp your previous versions as superseded. So you can clear this checkbox here.
Thank you. We've had a few questions around drawing management, and the question is, will the method of drawing management be applicable for other file management? Thank you.
Brilliant question. So Bluebeam Revu only allows opening of PDF files. There are a lot of other files. For example, when I go to the file open command on my review, so let me go into file open, let's say from my local machine. And if I click on the bottom right corner where it says PDF, I can open image files, I can open 3D files, or I can change it to all files. So some of the files, such as image files and 3D files, when you're opening them, it actually will convert them into PDF files. So management through review within review will have to be for PDF files. However, when you're working with studio projects, so let me just go and say, no, I don't want to save changes. But when you're working with studio projects, Studio Project is your lightweight document management system, and you could have any file type uploaded here. So I could literally go and upload, for example, if I go into my desktop and if I go project, I could go and upload a CSV file here. I can go and upload a Navisworks file here. Let me upload the whole folder for the Navisworks file. So the drawing management through studio projects could be for any file format. So you could upload any file format on studio project. However, when you're opening a non-PDF file, so for example, if I go to Navisworks folder and if I check out the NWD file and if I open this NWD file, it will open that file on a software, so Navisworks software installed on my local machine. Similarly, if I go back and if I check out this CSV file, and if I now double click on the CSV file to open, it would actually open this file in the Excel program on my machine. But what happens is if I go and, for example, make some changes to this, I want to change this wall closeout symbol from CO to WO. I can save this file, close, and when I check this file back in, I can add some comment here, change the wall closeout symbol. And so as you could see, I actually was able to have a CSV file sitting in my studio project. I was able to open it, make changes. The only thing is it opened the file in the program installed on my local machine. Same thing with Navisworks, same thing with Revit, same thing with AutoCAD, same thing with any file format. And what it would also do is it would, let me just close this. You can also, once you're managing files using your studio projects, you can look at revision history. You can see what revision it is sitting at. You can see what changes were made and so on. So coming back to your question, the drawings managed through review sets can only be PDF, but the drawings managed through studio sessions and studio projects could be any file format.
Thank you, Deepak. We've had a question come in from Pedro. Pedro is asking, how do you manage substantial changes in a drawing? For example, if you split a drawing into two due to the amount of information?
Brilliant question. So I prefer not to split drawings into two because it kind of defeats the whole purpose of having a single unified source of truth. So what I do is the compare feature that we've got in Bluebeam Revu, it lets us, and this is one of the advantage of digital format anyway, so it lets us place the previous version and the current version side by side. And irrespective of what kind of size it is, whether it's a large road railway project or whatever it is, you could zoom into one version and then it zooms into the same location in the other version as well. So the size or the span of the project doesn't really matter. What it comes down to is how you are reviewing your comparison. And the compare tool in the program is absolutely fantastic when it displays those two revisions in split view side by side in synchronized view.
Thank you. And we are coming towards the end of this presentation,
Yep.
but we do have a question from Salah, who's asking, can we edit 3D files on Bluebeam?
So again, as I mentioned earlier, if I go back to my review program, so when we are working with Bluebeam Revu, the only file we can open is a PDF file. But when as I showed you earlier, when I go to File Open command, and if I look at the lower right corner, there are some 3D format files that I can open, for example, IFC files. What this would do is if I'm opening an IFC file, and let me show you that on the screen. Let's say I've got this IFC file here. When I double click on this file to open, it basically comes up with a dialog box letting me add some views. So I'm going to go and add some views here. And the sheet size I want to use is, let's say, A1, landscape, okay. What it basically does is it converts that IFC file into a 3D PDF. Let me change the visual style. So if I go and say illustration, so as you could see, this now is a 3D PDF file that I can spin around actually. Because Review would only let you open PDF files. In this case, I opened IFC, but it converted that into 3D PDF. A really cool thing is if I go and pick on any of these elements, I can also look at the properties of this element here. And then I can also go and show my 3D panel, so 3D model tree. And as soon as I click on any of these elements, it highlights that element here as well as in my 3D model tree and gives me the information about that element here.
Thank you. And what a great way to finish. And I'm sure you'll all agree, we have run out of time. A brilliant presentation from Deepak. I've known Deepak a while now, and I'm always so impressed. We normally have two speakers for our thought leaders, but he carries the load alone and seamlessly, and that's not an hour and a half is quite a long time to do that. I also want to thank Deepak for doing all these real-time presentations and demonstrations, which is also, we really do thank you for doing that. I'd also like to thank, very importantly, Engineers Australia's industry partner CAD Group for making today's webinar possible. In light of their involvement, CAD Group are delighted to give away a copy of Deepak's latest book, Up and Running with Bluebeam Revu 20, to a randomly selected registrant. And, drum roll, the lucky winner today is Bradley Goddard from ADRA Group. Bradley will be in touch with the details. As always, we're on a continuous improvement journey with our Thought Leaders series, and we really would appreciate your feedback. So if you could please complete a short feedback form, which is linked in the description box below. Tell us what you liked, what we can do better, and topics you want to hear about going forward. Once again, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at our next Thought Leaders webinar. Thank you. Good afternoon.